Hey, everybody out there in Cryptid land. Tonight, me and my buddy Dirty have a really cool guest coming on. Her name is Ashley Hilt. We're going to be talking about pugwudgies, the Mothman, and all kinds of crazy stuff going on in Point Pleasant. So join us tonight on the Cryptid Quest podcast. Hey, everybody out there in Cryptid land. I am honored to introduce our guest tonight, Mrs. Ashley Hilt. And she's going to tell us about some really cool stuff. How you doing tonight, Ashley?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on. So I understand you've got quite a grab bag of some cryptid creatures you've had encounters with. Um, and the Pugwudgie one is the one that's really got me. And well, actually, all of them. Mothman, I really want to hear about too. So if you want to just pick one and tell us about what happened, and then we'll roll from there.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll start kind of chronologically. How about that?
That sounds
Um,
awesome. Perfect.
yeah. So, the first one I'm going to talk about here is one of the ones that you mentioned, the weird Pukwudgie incidents. So for people that don't know, Pukwudgies are basically little people, right? And I'm not talking midgets. I mean like little people, like gnome like people.
Yeah, gnomes. Yep.
And, even though it didn't stop me on the street and say, "Hey, I'm a puckwudgie," like
Yeah.
that's the best way to describe what happens. So this one's weird. When I was probably about 12 years old. Um, I'm in Ohio, and here in Ohio, we have these, department slash grocery stores called Meyer. Okay, so
Okay.
so it's like Walmart, but not. It's Meyer. So I'm with my family, and we stop at the local Meijer because one of the neat things about Meijer is that, you know how, like, in a department store, you walk through the double doors and then you
Hmm.
walk through again?
Yeah.
Well, in the first section, Meijer's had their bathroom right there. So
Okay.
it's an easy place to stop and go to the bathroom. So that's what we're doing. So as a family, we stop to go to the bathroom, and I walk into the restroom, and when I walk in the doors, like right in front of me, so like you walk in the door, there's like a little hallway, and then when
Hmm.
you're standing kind of, in front of you, to the left is the sinks, and then to the right is it's about 3 to 4 stalls. It's not a very big bathroom. And when I walked in, something this little person jumps from the top of the sink, jumps down onto the floor and runs into the stall. And I, you know, it's kind of a strange situation because I immediately walked out of the bathroom, did not go to the bathroom, went and told my family that I had just seen a leprechaun
Yeah.
because I didn't really know how else to describe what I had just experienced.
Yeah. Exactly.
Whatever this thing was, I mean, it couldn't have come up any higher than my knee, and I think that's even generous.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm about 5'6", and was probably about the same at 12 years old. So it was weird. Now, that encounter, I've only just recently been talking about publicly. I kept it to myself for a long time because when I go and tell my family that I've seen a leprechaun and I'm sticking to my guns on this and
Yeah.
adamant about what just happened, um, I got a lot of mental health treatments. So that
Oh
was not,
no.
yeah, that wasn't a good time.
No.
So, it definitely, I wasn't one of the kids that was into these types of topics. I'd never heard of a puck budgie, had never heard of the concept of these little people, and I mean, aside from, just regular media, obviously I knew what a leprechaun was.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I just wasn't really, into that whole thing. And so, yeah, that's, I think, my first foray into the
So
strain.
can I ask you a couple questions about it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So did you when you saw it on the sink? You say it immediately jumped and then ran into a stall. Was it making any kind of noises or sounds besides when it was moving? Or
No, not that I can remember. I'll say that I didn't actually see it on the sink.
Oh,
It
okay.
jumped down from that area, and just the way that the wall
Ah,
was, it jumped down from somewhere. I'm assuming the sink,
I got you.
and then just, I mean, just ran through.
Huh.
Didn't look
So
at me or anything.
did you get a look at its face at all, or
I probably did, but
you were so startled
well,
probably?
I just think that because, following that incident, I had, professionals trying to convince me that this was not real, this did not happen. I'm kind of remiss to share any strict details about it because I don't know what my 34-year-old brain is making up
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
or what was genuine.
That's totally understandable. Totally understandable. But I have no doubt you saw something because, so many people have, and I mean, people don't talk about them because they don't exist or they, these things don't happen. They do happen. They're just not very often. I
Yeah.
don't know what the hell I would do. I mean, honestly, I would have probably not gone. I might have gone to the bathroom right then and there.
Right. It was it's probably, I mean, given all the other things I have experienced, it is one of the weirdest, and I
Yeah,
second guess myself a lot on it, but I was kind of trained to do that. I mean, so I
yeah,
don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna, with this one, I'm not gonna look you dead in the face and be like, I know what I saw. Just, this is what
yeah,
I remember. And
yeah. I
it was
got
something
you.
that impacted my life after that point.
Yeah.
Because I was like deemed as a crazy person that had hallucinations. Had never had anything like that ever happen again, until, later on in my life. But yeah, I
So
mean, it's a strange one, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. We weren't
yeah,
outside. I was in a bathroom at a department store
I
in,
know that when you
town.
first told me that you encountered a pug wedgie, I'm thinking you're going to be in the middle of the woods, you know. But
Not at all.
yeah, but a lot. I've heard a lot of encounters to where it does happen, like in people's houses
Yeah.
and strange places like that, which I don't know what box to put that in, you know. And
Right.
it really sucks that you see something like this, and I think it's an amazing thing because not everybody gets to see this, but then
True.
society attacks you on it, you
Yeah.
know, and then
Yeah.
makes you feel like, well, maybe there's something wrong with my brain. I
Right.
don't
Maybe I
agree with
didn't
all
see it,
that. Yeah,
And yeah, like I said, it's unfortunate. I feel like, the only way I'd believe myself at this point is if I saw one again, and then I'd be like, okay,
yeah,
yeah, that happened. Or
yeah.
I'd, take myself into the hospital. I don't know.
I totally get it. So what was the next encounter you had after that? Is it a few
Yeah.
years after that?
It was. So the next one that I will speak on, I've had other weird things throughout my entire life, and if we have time, we'll kind of go back and revisit. But
Okay,
the next major one was, well, it was the Mothman encounter.
that's
So
cool.
the interesting thing about this one, also, all of mine come with caveats to them, is that I definitely didn't believe that I saw what I had seen
Hmm.
until 2021. So I became a 40 investigator full time, completely threw myself into this because of weird events that I had experienced at the Mothman Festival in September of 2019. And it wasn't until somebody else had shared their encounter with me that they had in 2021 that kind of unlocked this for me. And so I'll get into it, but this happened to me in the summer of 2016. So I was at a friend's house, and we full disclosure, we made pot brownies. That's what we were doing
Hey,
that
nothing
night.
wrong with that. I like pop brownies.
We were having pot brownies, and this
Nothing wrong with
wasn't
that.
like the first time I'd ever had pot brownies. Not the first time I ever had pot. This I was a veteran, right, at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I got you. I got you.
Was definitely doing a lot harder drugs at the time, just not that night. And
Yeah,
not that week even,
yeah.
so but that's what we were doing, right? We were gonna have a little sleepover, and I was gonna stay at her house. We made some pot brownies and just enjoyed ourselves. And so, the night was kind of winding down. And as the night is winding down, we're going to bed and I'm sleeping on our couch. And it's about 2, 3 in the morning. And I am trying to sleep on her couch. And while I'm laying there trying to fall asleep, I start kind of, well, if you've been high, I just kind of start freaking out. And I'm
Yeah.
like, God, I'm really freaking out right now. And when you're really, really high, one thing that you'll do, one thing that I do is I'll kind of pick a spot to stare at for a minute just to kind of ground yourself and be like, I'm
Yeah.
okay. I'm
Been there.
still real. Yeah.
Been there.
And yeah, and so I'm just feeling just real freaked out. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Well, so I'm looking around the room and I look and she's got this TV cabinet, and the TV cabinet that she's got, it's like in the corner of the room, and there's about 2 feet of distance between the top of the cabinet and the ceiling. And so I picked that space between the top of the cabinet and the ceiling. And while I'm sitting there staring at it, something's happening. Something is happening in that corner. And the way that I describe what I'm about to describe that I saw is, remember in like elementary school, or it depends on how old you are, when the teacher had the overhead projector
Uh-huh.
and there'd be nothing on it, then she'd put a sheet on it, right? And then she'd put another blank sheet on top of that and write on that sheet. And she could kind of like move it around and skew it off the paper, and it'd kind of mess up the answers. It was like that. And whatever was happening in the corner of the room, some shape starts kind of coming to be, and it's like a head shape, and it's black and misty and weird. And I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens. Then it kind of starts forming down to what I had assumed at the time were shoulders, what looked like shoulders. And then the shoulders are like becoming outstretched arms that are like stretching over top of me, like over top on the ceiling. But then the arms start to come downwards. And I realized that these weren't arms, these were wings. And that's when I got the fuck up and I went to my friend's room and I was like, look, you need to wake up. I'm freaking out. she's like,
Yeah.
she's laughing, she's like, oh my God, you're such a wuss. My God. And she stays up with me for a long time. And like she wants to go to bed and she's like, dude, you're fine. And I'm like, don't leave me alone. Like, just stay here. And she stayed up with me for a while. Eventually I went to bed. I never told her what I saw. I didn't tell her what had happened. I didn't tell anybody what had happened because at that time in my life, I didn't believe in any of this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
at that point I was pursuing a degree in astrophysics. I didn't believe in things that couldn't be explained by science. And so I just kind of wrote it off as, fuck, I was really high that night. But, the reality of it is I've never had an experience like that smoking pot. You don't
Yeah.
hallucinate
No,
smoking
you
pot.
don't. No.
Um,
You fall
you know,
asleep and drive slow.
right, exactly. Eat too much and laugh at
Yeah, yeah,
ridiculous
yeah.
things. You just don't. And so I've never had a hallucination like that after 9 hits of acid. Never had anything like that happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just didn't really make sense. So when this person relayed their Mothman encounter to me, um, one of the first things that she disclosed, so their incident was, it's pretty quick. They were staying at her and her boyfriend were staying at a hotel room in Atlanta, Georgia. And they saw this face peeking into their hotel window, which was on like the 6th floor. And then when they went
Ooh.
and ran to the window, they saw it. They saw, assuming the Mothman, a winged humanoid, take off. And
Yeah.
she sent me a picture of these. She was like, "Now," she was like, "I just have to tell you, we were eating these." And she sent me a picture of some THC gummies, and
Yeah.
it's something that they take all the time, right? It's pretty typical. And for whatever reason,
Yeah.
it hit me very hard, and kind of unlocked this event for me. But I learned other stuff about Mothman witnesses, since then, and it is a very distinct phenomena. It's not like a Bigfoot encounter. People see
Yeah.
Bigfoot and then they go and tell everybody, "Yeah, I saw Bigfoot. It was pretty cool."
Yeah.
Um, Mothman encounters aren't like that. These are like pivotal events in people's lives that completely change the course of their life. It's very, very strange. Not necessarily for the better, not necessarily for the worse, but they end up going through really catastrophic changes in their everyday life that are typically outside of their control. And I had experienced that, about not even 6 months, maybe 3 to 4 months after, I had this encounter. I ended up getting a job, a really, really good job, for something that I was way underqualified for. Things started looking very differently for me in my general life. Not long after that, I fell in love and like grossly sickly in love, and that was not within my character. And
Yeah.
just different things were very different. And like I said, a lot of times, um that's exactly the course that this follows. So I've had people be like, well, how do you know it's Mothman doesn't just form out of nowhere? Well, first of all, yes, he does. The Mothman Prophecies movie is not 100% accurate. Do the research.
Yeah.
Second of all, I don't, again, just like the Puckwudgie, it wasn't like, hey, it's me, it's the Mothman.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I don't know that that's what it was, but considering how close I've been to everything that I've experienced with these other experiencers, um, I just know there's just something in me that recognizes that that's what I experienced.
So when it formed, did it was it more like a shadow on the wall, or was it more like did it have a was it a mask? I know you said it was just black, which is generally how it's described. Um,
Yeah, it
but
was
could you
like, I mean, that's kind of why I use like the
you said
projector, the
okay,
projector, because it's like, the overhead projectors have layers to them. And it was
yeah,
weird because I could like tell that it's hard to explain. I could tell that this was like another layer. That it was
I,
weird.
I got you, I got you, yeah,
Like it was there. I could see it was there. I knew it was there, but I could also, just like you have, if you held up a blanket in front of your face, I know that you're still behind it. It felt like that, but deeper, bigger. I don't know.
okay. Ugh. I yeah, I think I'd have had my friend come hang out with me too. So
It's like you got to wake up. I'm freaking out.
so did it like you said it started coming down over you and putting its wings
Yeah,
out. Um, was that the point in time you got up and you got out of there?
I did. Yeah, I got up and I left.
Okay.
I wasn't
Did
sticking
it
around to see what else was
did
going
you
on.
did you did you notice any kind of a reaction or anything from it when you did
No,
that, or were you just like, I'm out of here?
I didn't. I mean, her room was about 10 feet away from where I was,
I
just a
got you.
couple of steps. And so, I didn't even stop to look. I just hopped right up and went out. It was almost kind of like as it was forming, it was like, because the cabinet's caddy corner and it's not corner shaped. I mean, there's space behind the TV cabinet, and it was almost like not only was it forming, but it was also kind of climbing out of that area
Oh
into
man.
the room. And so, yeah, I just got up and I left. And people asked, did you see the red eyes? I don't remember seeing any red eyes. I don't remember it ever fully coming into any type of form. Itself, just things that kind of look like what my brain knows would have probably happened next, which would have been wings, stuff
Yeah.
like that. And yeah, no, I left.
Wow. I can't say that I blame you. But and it's strange how Mothman seems to, when they appear, something big happens
Yeah.
to people. I wonder what, I mean, do you have any theories on that? 'Cause you probably looked into it more than I have. I've not looked into Mothman a whole lot. I just know
Sure.
about it and the things that have happened.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
mean,
think there's anything behind it?
I question it a lot because, I don't understand. I have a hard time understanding like why me, you know? Why
Yeah.
did I experience this? What, I know that you're trying to tell me something, but I don't understand what, and I don't understand why.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been the basis. I mean, this is why I got into it, because again, I would have just went on with my life and never had thought about especially not I didn't think about the Mothman in 2006. I had no idea what that was. I just would have totally went the rest of my life without knowing that ever happened. Except I found myself yet again wrapped up in something strange because I attended the Mothman Festival. It's just kind of
Yeah.
a silly, funny thing to do with my friends in 2019,
Yeah.
and then experienced another string of very weird events. Not quite as impactful as that, but enough to where it felt like I'm not religious at all. I'm really not. But the only way that I can describe it, it's like the universe is trying to tell me something.
Got
And
you.
so the other Mothman witnesses that I've spoken to, they all definitely have that same curiosity, that kind of ends up driving them further into these topics. Normally, they don't start off as like Mothman fans or high strangeness fans or anything like that. Normally, they're just regular people trying to live their lives that end up having this weird experience, and that kind of drives them to try to find some answers. I famously don't think that Mothman had anything to do with the Silver Bridge collapse. I think that was just an unfortunate series of events that happened.
Oh, really?
I don't, and mostly it's because people are like, well, the bridge collapsed and then he was never seen again. Well, that's not true.
No, he's been
Uh,
seen again.
he was seen again in that area. It's
Yeah.
just people weren't really talking about it because they were talking about the horrible tragedy that was the bridge collapse. I mean, there's other stuff. I mean, like most of those, that 66 to 67 sightings, most of them didn't happen. They didn't even happen in West Virginia. They happened in Ohio. And people don't know that because Point Pleasant is kind of cornered as like, this is our monster, leave it alone.
Yeah.
Um, but it was an Ohio reporter that dubbed it the Mothman. And, people don't know those bits. I think that John Keel, who, kind of made this all famous by writing his Mothman Prophecies book. I think that he got sick of looking into it, and because it
Yeah.
will drive you nuts. And hitting a brick wall, I think he just wanted to top it off with this nice bow of, the Silver Ridge collapse happened, and that's what he was here for, and that's what it was, and I think that that's where that narrative comes from. But I think it's a gravely personal experience. For some reason, who knows why, this thing wants us to know that it exists, and I don't get it entirely. But I think that there is some type of purpose there because not everybody, and it's not even just Mothman. I think that applies to a lot of people that have especially weird encounters.
I agree.
Not just Bigfoot sightings, but maybe Bigfoot that dissipates into mist or whatever. Like that's really
Yeah.
strange, and I think that whatever that thing is the same thing as whatever the thing I saw was. And I just think that sometimes we're not really looking in the right places when it comes to trying to find those answers.
Yeah. No, I agree with that a lot. There's just there's just when you go and you experience something like that, it touches, and then not like you said, not just Bigfoot, not just Mothman. I mean, so many different experiences people have out there, and when they're real, because and I try and want to believe everybody, but obviously not everybody out there in this world is telling the truth.
Yes. Yeah.
But but I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And I think for the
Sure.
people that have genuine experiences, like you said, it touches a part of them and it really steers their life in a different direction that maybe they weren't planning on going. And it's almost like they were meant to have that experience to
Yeah.
take them down the path they need to go a lot of times.
It's
So,
a really weird thing. I've had people, because I do a lot of lectures on this stuff and I
mhm.
go out to different cons and talk to all kinds of people. And, I've had people that I don't know approach me and they are like overwhelmed by me and they're vocal about it. I've had people refer to me as magical. Again, people I've never met before. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why do you I must become aggressive. I'm like, why are you saying that to me? Um, because I don't get it because I'm just me. And,
Yeah.
but then like when I talk, if I say stuff like that to normal people, it just sounds like I'm being, grandiose and narcissistic. But no, I mean, this is my life, and I don't understand it. Which is why I've kind of made it my mission to understand it. And maybe I never will. Maybe maybe I'm
Eh,
nuts.
I
But
appreciate you trying. I appreciate you
I'm
trying because
gonna really
without
try.
people like you trying, well, no, yeah, we got to have people digging and bringing this stuff up and investigating it and asking questions and talking about it because otherwise we won't ever understand and maybe we never will. But
No.
I always tend to try and have faith that
Yeah.
eventually something's gonna pop. You
Yeah,
know.
something one day, because then there's the other aspect to it. The Mothman stuff's really weird, and there's other really weird stuff. But like I do believe in the concept of just flesh and blood, undiscovered species of animals, just
Oh, I
cryptids.
do too. I do
Um,
too.
which is its own thing, and I find that super interesting. I love hanging out in the woods looking for nothing.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah,
favorite.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but it's different, right? It's a different world than this, and I don't know where the Puckwudgie guy fits in because for all I know, there's a hole behind one of those toilets in the stall. You
Might
know,
go to a different dimension. I
could have
mean,
been, yeah,
yeah. I mean, they. I mean, obviously, portals are real. They can make them happen. Different dimensions are real. So why can't a pugwudgie that goes from this dimension to another dimension and goes through a portal? Why can that not be real?
maybe he just likes the scent of the soap in the Meyer
It
bathroom.
could
I don't
be.
know.
Could be. Maybe he likes other weird smells. I don't know. So after the Mothman, what was the next big thing in your life?
Yeah, so the next big thing I got to experience with my 9-year-old, and so we were driving down the road. She had actually just had I'm going to say surgery, but she had a toenail removed. Um,
Yeah.
and I was taking her to her follow-up appointment for at her doctor's office. And I live in I tell everybody it's Dayton. I live in a suburb of Dayton. It's Kettering, Ohio, but it's a very populated, very suburban area, very filled with lots of people. And as I was driving down one of the main streets here, it's Marshall Road. For anybody that is curious about the area, we're driving down the road and there's this crow. What I thought was a crow. What looked like a
Uh-huh.
crow, an all black bird.
Yeah.
And I see it kind of flying around, and then it's kind of getting closer to one of the utility poles. And the utility poles are like T-shaped, you know.
Yep.
And it's like trying to land on that horizontal piece on the utility pole. And when it goes to try to land on it, its wings are double the size of, of the little horizontal piece. And I'm like, whoa,
Wow.
hold on a second.
Oh, yeah.
That's not, so I start, she's in the back seat, and I start, I didn't want to say anything to influence her at all. I wanted to hear what she had to say, but it
Yeah.
came out as, "Oh my God, what is that? What is that? Do you see that?" And because I was excited,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I would be too. That's weird.
because this was probably, this is probably 2022. I'm very much in the throes of what I do, and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's unusual." And
Yeah.
she's like, "It's a bird, it's a bird." I'm like, "What kind of bird is that?" And she's she's telling me, also it's a crow, obviously. And it didn't land on that piece, and instead it decided to kind of zoom off away from the utility pole and then into the neighborhood. And I didn't follow it. I regret it to this day. Did not follow it down the street. But I did my due diligence and did a little bit of research, and those poles, the width of them are about 4 to 6 feet. So we're talking an 8 to 12 foot wingspan, which doesn't. I
Wow.
know compared to some people that say it had 30 feet, 30-foot wings and stuff. But listen, guys, there's no crow that exists that has an 8 to 12 foot wingspan. Like,
No,
that
I
was
don't. I don't even
very
know of
unusual.
any birds around here. Period. That have an 8 to 12. I think what eagles get pretty damn big. Condors get big, and that might be about the size of a condor, but there's no condors in Ohio.
Yeah, well, we have turkey vultures, and they're pretty
Well,
big.
yeah, they're pretty big. We got a lot of turkey vultures around here too, but they ain't got no 12-foot wingspan.
No, they're pretty big, but they're very I mean, you know a turkey vulture. This was like a crow. I mean, it was all
100%.
black, and
Wow.
that's I've never seen anything like it. But then I kind of learned about there's this guy. His name is I think his last name is pronounced Ghoul. It's Kevin Ghoul, and maybe I'm wrong, but sorry, Kevin. Um, I had connected with him on social media because he was writing a book about something called a thunder crow, and had never heard of that. I've heard of thunderbird, hadn't heard of
Yeah.
thunder crow, and so I connected with him, and of course, shared my experience and kind of looked into a little bit. And there are plenty of sightings of these massive crows all throughout North America. So
Wow.
I definitely think there's something there, and I think that in this case, it if it had never tried to land on that utility pole, I wouldn't have ever thought anything of it. I'd have just thought it was a crow, kind of closer to the ground, and that was
Yeah.
that. And so your perception of these things in the sky, I mean, it's certainly different. So I think they can kind of get away with it a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I 100%. I got you. I like watching birds. When I drive down the
Me
road,
too.
I'll eyeball any bird I see, and I'm usually pretty good at telling what they are. But sometimes I'll be looking at one, and if it's up in the sky, I can't tell how big it is. I'll be like, oh, is that
Right.
a crow or is that a, but until I get closer. But you had something to judge it off of. That's the big
Right.
difference with
Exactly.
yours.
Yeah.
You had something to compare it
Yeah.
to.
I
When you got that comparison, man, that's I don't know what I would do. Holy cow! I'm trying to imagine
and I
myself.
tried to like Yeah, well, I mean, it was like I said, I was very excited. I
Yeah.
tried to find other people. Like I was asking on like local Facebook group because I wasn't the only car on the road that day. Like there was definitely people out and about. Other people saw this thing, but I don't know if they realized that they saw it.
No, no,
But I wasn't
people
able to
don't pay
find anybody
attention.
who had seen it. They don't.
Yeah.
No, I did find other people who have seen these thunder crows in Ohio, but was not able to find that particular one that particular day. But yeah, it was it was wild.
Well,
It was neat.
I appreciate you dropping a new one on me because I never heard of Thunder Crow before. When you told me in your first message you saw a Thunder Crow, and I'm like, is he talking about a Thunderbird? But Thunderbirds are
Kind of.
slightly, I mean, kind of slight, yeah, I don't, would it be considered? So you said you talked to the guy that's writing the book on Thunder Crows.
Yeah.
Is there an opinion one way or the other if they're in any way related to Thunderbird sightings, or do you know? I'm not sure. I'm just asking. You
Um,
might not know
I
either.
mean, they probably are. I would think that they are to an extent. I mean, a lot of people, they do see giant black birds, but when you think of like another a very famous alleged Thunderbird sighting was the Lawndale, incident that happened in Illinois, where it was like it
Oh
looked
yeah,
more like a condor that tried to carry
yeah,
off the little
boy,
boy.
I remember that.
And that's more common. I mean, people seeing these condor type birds rather than these crow like birds. But the thunder crows are, like I said, they're a lot more prevalent than people realize. And I think people again don't know what they're looking at. For one, they just assume that it's something that we already know about, so they don't know to report it.
Yeah,
And then for two, I think that if they do recognize that, damn, that's a big ass bird, because again, 8 to 12 foot wingspan is possible for a bird, but not that kind of bird. So if they do realize that what they saw was strange, they probably do just chalk it up to Thunderbird, if anything at all, because that's more recognizable.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So, what else you got out of your grab bag? Let's see what's
Oh
next.
man, I
Oh
have
man,
so much.
you
Jeez.
whatever you enjoy sharing the most. I won't push you one way or another. I one thing I am interested in that when you wrote me and I was curious about was you said something about animals, seeing animals that aren't really there.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's right. Absolutely. So so when I was first getting into these topics, again, reverting back to the date 2019 is when I started seriously
Hmm.
doing this. Of course, 2020, nobody's working, so I had all the time in the world to go travel everywhere and go
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
things. And because I was heavy into Mothman research, I mean, we would go down to West Virginia. I mean, Point Pleasant, West Virginia is only about 2 hours away from me. It's not far.
Oh, that's not bad.
And yeah, it's a day trip. And so I was working on a Mothman documentary at the time. That's not done yet, years later, but whatever. Anyway, so I'm spending a lot of time down there and really getting to know the area. And I had taken a specific person down there. I was also doing tours in that area, just kind of like a side gig. I'd gotten so versed in the history there. It was easy to do, and people wanted to do it. So anyway, but I had taken a friend down there, and kind of a part of what you do when you take someone new down to Point Pleasant is of course you go to the museum, right? That's where you start. You go to the Mothman Museum,
Yeah,
show them all the stuff there. Then you kind of bop around the town a little bit, show them landmarks, the place where the Silver Bridge used to be. There's little shops and things. You do fun stuff like get a Mothman pizza. And then after the fun, things get serious because you go down to the TNT area. And, for people that don't know, the TNT area is the place where the famous Scarberry Mallet sighting took place, which were two couples that encountered the Mothman and was actually chased by it in their vehicle. And it kind of kicked off Mothmania. So, this couple saw this thing, they went and reported it to the local media. Everybody started coming in to Point Pleasant to catch a glimpse of the quote unquote the bird, is what they called it at the
yeah,
time. So it's a really spooky, weird place. Now it's the McClintock Wildlife Management Area, but people still call it the TNT area because in the 1940s during World War II, the government purchased a big chunk of the land out there, and they built a munitions power plant to create munitions. But they didn't just do that, they also built these giant concrete, they're like igloos, they're like big bunkers above ground. And there's, I think, like 80, there's like 70 or 80 out there on the property, and they're still out there to this day. And a lot of them are still very much filled with live munitions. So it's actually a pretty dangerous place to be.
yeah,
However, people go down there. That's one of the big touristy spots. Those igloos are insane. I mean, it's a crazy experience. And I've probably been in them hundreds of times now, and it never gets old. But the area is creepy. It's the perfect place for teenagers to go down and make up spooky, scary ghost stories. So anyway, so I take my one friend down there, and she's a huge skeptic, doesn't believe in any of this stuff, loves a gimmick, so she's enjoying all
yeah,
the town stuff. I was kind of explaining just kind of the climate for me at the time and kind of what I was doing. So at the time that I had started doing my Mothman research, I was spending a ton of time down in Point Pleasant. Point Pleasant is not very far from me, so it was a very easy place to get access to do Mothman research, of course.
yeah,
So a couple of things that I would do, I'd take different people down to Point Pleasant with me. Just kind of, I really did. It was just me, myself, and I at the time doing all this research, but I'd have plenty of people that would want to go check it out, do the touristy stuff. And, we would go down and just kind of hang out in the area. So what that kind of looks like, every time I take a new person down to Point Pleasant, I've done like official tours down in the Point Pleasant area, and but there's kind of an itinerary that you follow to kind of build some suspense a little bit for what you're about to experience. And so you get down to the town, and your first stop, it's typically the Mothman Museum. You check it out, you learn all the stories. You kind of get in the mood, right? And then you go kind of pal around the town a little bit. There's plenty of things to see. um a lot of fun, very gimmicky stuff. There's the statue, right? There's Mothman coffee. I mean, Mothman, anything and everything you can imagine. And so after you kind of do all the fun little cutesy town stuff, it's time to get weird, right?
yeah,
So from there, I'll take people down into the TNT area. And the person that I had with me at the time, she is not like, she's a huge skeptic. She doesn't believe in
mhm,
any of this stuff, but she's having a good time, for what it is. And I'm like, okay, well, it's gonna get weird. Let's go down to the TNT area. And she's like, okay, whatever. For people that don't know about the TNT area, it is a now it's the McClintock Wildlife Management Area, but it's called the TNT area because back in during World War II, the government had purchased a large chunk of land right outside of Point Pleasant, and they had built a munitions power plant down there, and they also built these giant like concrete igloos all around the area. They're above grounds, it's concrete bunkers basically, and that's where they would store the munitions. So they'd make them at the plant, put them over into the igloos, and they were concrete to be safe in case something happens. But there's about 70 to 80 of these igloos down there, and so when the government pulled out of the space, they left everything there. They left the munitions plant, they left the igloos, and they left the live munitions in the igloos. Um, but it's definitely become like a hot spot for teenagers, right?
Yeah.
It's the lover's lane for the local teens, and that's fine. They go down there and have their fun. But in regard to Mothman lore, this is the area that one of the most famous Mothman sightings took place at the Scarberry Mallet sightings. It's two young couples that were, encountered this thing and was chased in their car. So then they went and, shared their story to the local sheriff. They shared it to the local news, and kind of everybody at once, wanted to get a look at this creature. So people started coming from all over to hang out in this area to catch a glimpse of the thing. And so it's just one of those places you got to see it if you're down there, and it's a weird experience. I mean, I've had multiple occasions. This is not the only one going down there where something very strange has happened. Never seen a Mothman down there. And I don't think there's any Mothman nests, but it is a weird area.
Yeah.
So a lot of the land now is private property. So what the government ended up doing was kind of selling shares of the land back to like the original family members who owned it before they bought it, and so you can't just go walking around down there. I mean, we do, but we're stupid. You really need to kind of stay your course. But the museum owns one of these bunkers that you can go down and use. I mean, the rest of it though, it's private property. Like you'll hear gunshots out there all day long because there's people out there hunting on their land,
Holy cow! All right.
and they'll shoot you. I mean, it's West Virginia. If you're on their
Just
land, they'll shoot you.
don't hit one of the bunkers with the live ammo.
Well, and they do. I mean, those bunkers have blown up from time to time. There's live
That's
ammo in there just
crazy.
leaking. Yeah, and
That's
and
crazy.
they blow up every little bit. It is crazy. So I mean,
Wow.
it is kind of a dangerous area. On top of that, I lovingly refer to the water in the area as a cancer swamp because it's got TNT and DNT and chemicals in it. Like, don't go down there in mesh shoes. Don't touch the water.
Yeah.
Cancer. So one of the areas, so when you go down to the free for all bunker, right, the museum owned bunker, the one you're allowed to go to, you're walking down this like trail that used to be a road. It's closed off now, but you have to walk down to get to the bunker itself. So as you're walking down, there's trees to your right, and then right next to you on your left is this giant swamp. And I call it swamp because the whole top of it is just covered in algae, and it doesn't move. The water itself, like it doesn't move. It's very still, and it's eerie. It's weird. So we're out there, and before we get to the bunker itself, we notice that there's bullfrogs. We hear a bunch of bullfrogs, and they're in the water, and you can kind of see their little bullfrog head sticking out. And every little bit they're jumping up and back into the water, and we're trying to like kind of catch them with our eyes because when they jump up and back into the water, there's no ripple. I mean, you could throw a huge rock in there and the water doesn't ripple. It's weird.
Huh.
And so yeah, and so we're kind of standing out there, and probably about, like I said, it's all to your right, probably about northwest of us, we see a deer in the distance, and we're like, oh, that's really cool. Let's, take a picture of that. So my friend, she reaches into her pocket and goes to pull her phone out. And I look at her pulling her phone out of her pocket. So we both look away. And when we look back up, the deer's completely gone. We didn't hear
Yeah.
it come and go. Then again, it's not a big deal. But this event really threw her into her own little project because when we were kind of looking at the area and looking at each other, We're like, hold on a second. Was that deer just standing in the middle of that water? I mean, there's nothing else there, right? There's no land. That's just water. And and while deer are masters of, coming and going, um she decided to kind of take on her own little project and decided to map out that entire area. Like, she mapped the
Oh,
whole
wow.
TNT area. And what we have found is that the spot where that deer was standing, I mean, it was standing on water. There was nowhere it could have entered from that wasn't buried deep in water.
Huh.
It was just on top of it, and I mean, had appeared and disappeared as quickly as, as just as it took for me to glance at her phone. And it
Yeah,
wasn't like near trees or anything. I mean, it was dead center in it was weird.
that is weird.
So that was a fun one. Yeah, that was fun.
That's another one. What box do you put that in?
It's ghost deer. That's what I call it.
Ghost deer. There you go. Well, at least it didn't have a human face like another lady I interviewed.
Oh my gosh, no, it looked very normal. So
Okay, thank goodness, man. I had a nightmare when she told me about the deer with the human face. I'm like, what?
yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'd rather have a deer that just appears and disappears.
Yes,
That's
yes,
freaky, but it ain't gonna make me have a nightmare.
yeah. It was. I'll take my subtle paranormal deer.
There you
Um,
go. There you go.
yeah, it was
Wow.
weird. I mean, and we've gone that. Like I said, that whole area is. It can be really strange. I mean, in
Well,
and of itself, it's just interesting. Going
some
into those bunkers is a very surreal experience. There's just nothing like it. I mean, you have, it's a big concrete bunker. It could be 95 degrees outside. You go in that thing and it's 75,
nice.
and because it's piled high with dirt and it's very, very cool. There's no sun getting in there. But the noises it makes, I mean, you're in a concrete dome and the sounds are just, it's unbelievable. So I
There's
mean,
noises going on in there when you're not making noises.
not when you're not making noises. It's
Oh,
strictly you, but you can hear
okay.
everything that you do.
Yeah.
Every step, every breath. I mean, you can hear it all. It bounces back to you. It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
acoustics are very interesting. But we've gone down there. We've gone down there and it's normal. It's just a nice day and we're having a good time. We went down there one time and it was gray. And when I say that it was gray, I mean the trees, the leaves on the trees, the grass, everything was gray. It's like somebody came in and dropped like a gray spray paint bomb. It was
Huh.
so buzz. I've never seen it. And I've never seen it like that again. It was only that one time. And I can't explain it. I have and
Yeah.
it's like, well, maybe one of the bunkers exploded. Well, no, not in that area that we were in that day. It was very bizarre. We've gone down and we've heard weird electrical noises that are coming from nothing. I mean, just like
Yeah. I think a lot of them electrical noise. I don't know. I think they got something to do with portals and stuff, but that's just me.
it was weird. And it's like just electrical popping and static and crackling, and it was like where. And we tried to figure out where it was coming from. We couldn't find out. There were power lines, but they're on. So when you drive down the road to get to that area, the bunkers are on either side of you, and
Yeah.
so you can either park to the left or park to the right, and go in on the right, go in on the left. Well, the electrical lines are on the opposite side of where we are. I mean, they're nowhere near us, and we couldn't find it. I mean, it was like we just wandered around forever, almost getting shot by crazy West
Oh,
Virginians.
man.
Um, we couldn't figure out where it was coming from. It was very strange.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and I think certain places on on this earth just have a natural power, the land itself, and uh, I think it generates. I don't know what it comes from. Don't know if it comes from the type of rock or the electromagnetic fields around the earth. Just designate certain spots. Certain spots seem to have like an uptick in activity and weird stuff.
Oh yeah.
Um, and almost like the land itself is a battery or a power source to make this stuff happen. And that sounds like that might be one of them spots, especially if you're hearing weird sounds, seeing weird things. who knows? Maybe when you saw that gray view that day, maybe for a hot second you were somewhere else and didn't know it. You
Yeah,
know,
very well
I mean,
could be.
you don't know. You don't know.
Yeah, it's been
So
weird. I mean, a lot of what I do incorporates kind of every aspect of this type of research. So I got in in the woods, and I want to collect, physical evidence of things, and then I also take like ghost hunting equipment. I take a spirit box with me. EMF detectors. I mean, I take it all, and we just throw everything into it and see what sticks. And
yeah.
one time I had this weird kind of repetitive, almost impulsive urge to invoke the Mothman. It was like a voice in my head that kept telling me, invoke the Mothman, invoke the Mothman. And I'm like, what? I don't know what that means. I've never invoked anything in my entire life, but you
Hmm.
know what? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of research into that type of thing. Like I said, I'm not religious. I'm not usually into that type of stuff, but I did my due diligence, and I'm like, well, how could we invoke this thing? What can we do to, make it appear to us? And um gathered different not just equipment, but like, different stuff. We had so much sage, it wasn't even funny, because everybody said to bring it with us.
Hey, sage is the shit, man.
Oh man, we brought so much, and like, I bought a bunch of like loose leaf tobacco, and just offerings, and I was really into it. I'm like, let's do this. And so I had gone down there with a couple of people, and they were in on it. They helped me prepare. And um one of the people that I brought down was, a psychic medium, allegedly a psychic medium. And we went down there, and like I said, there's kind of a method to the madness. So you don't just go straight to the TNT area. We did the tour stuff first. And when we're down there, we were at the Silver Bridge Memorial area where the old bridge used to be. There's a new bridge, but it's not where the old bridge was.
Hmm.
And so I'm just kind of like, oh, this is where the Silver Bridge used to be, and yada yada yada. And the medium friend, she like sees these flowers on the ground, and she's like, oh, I love those flowers. I'm gonna take a picture of them, and kind of got closer. And right there beside the flowers was a dead bird. And that's not particularly strange. Birds die all the time, and it's not like they have funerals and burials, right? You're going to find them outside. But then we start walking down the street, and we're kind of just shopping the little shops there. Point Pleasant's a cute little town. And we come up to a storefront, and it's a little storefront. It's an empty lot, and it's for rent. And we're like, kind of looking in the windows, like, oh, maybe we can rent this place out. So cool stuff. Well, right in the window there is a dead rat. Not just a dead rat. It's huge, and it is cut
Ooh.
in half.
Oh no! What?
And we're like, okay. So, then we eventually we're done schmoozing around town. We got to the TNT area, and we pick a spot, and we're getting set up. I've got like 4 different cameras that I'm setting up. I've got different microphones. Like, if something's going to happen, I'm going to catch it. And then we're getting everything out, getting our little offerings and stuff out, getting ready. And all of a sudden, this couple walks up, and let me tell you, I have never before and never after experienced other people in that area ever.
Mhm.
It- just people, it's a small town, and people only go to Point Pleasant during the Mothman Festival. They don't go any other time of year. People go, obviously I
Yeah.
go, but I mean, it's very rare that you're going to see other people. And when the people walked up, um I don't know, I just looked at everybody, and I was like, something's not right. We shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
And we didn't, and I haven't revisited it. I haven't done it since. I haven't tried to do it since. I might still do it. But that wasn't the day. So,
Yeah.
it's just
Your
the air of things down
your
there. It could
spidey
be.
senses was tingling.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
was like, this
happens.
ain't it. Next
it,
time.
it happens. Well, Ashley, we're rolling up on an hour now, but
Sure.
hey, is there anything before we get off of here you want to promote or have people check out or
Oh man, all kinds of
anything?
stuff. Yeah. So I published my first book in the beginning of the year. It is about Indrid Cold. If you love the Mothman talk, you're gonna love the story of Indrid Cold, where I personally made very good friends with a family who have contact with this guy from another planet, Indrid Cold. And so
Oh, Cool. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's called Injured Cold Searching for the Man from Lanulos.
Where
Check
can you get it at?
Amazon. Amazon, you
Amazon?
can get a hold of me directly if you want an autograph copy. I'll send you one.
Okay.
And you can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Ashley Hilt. I'm the one with the red hair.
Yeah.
You can find me on X or Instagram at It's Ashers with a Z. And then if you just can't get enough of hearing me talk about these things, I talk about them every week on my own podcast. On Wednesdays, we talk weird. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, check it out.
Shit, man, this was fun. This was fun. It was a good conversation. I loved your encounters. That's so cool. And I want to thank you for coming on the show tonight. It was so much fun talking to you. And everybody out there in Cryptid Land, keep it creepy.
Yeah, out in the woods where the shadows creep, I'm trying to find the legend that the people keep. Bigfoot's the name, got a story to tell. Footprints in the mud, can't you hear the bell? Whispers in the night, can you feel that chill? Bigfoot on the run, he's a legend, keep it real. Bigfoot, yeah, he's the talk of the town. Creeping through the trees, never wearing a frown. Legend of the forest, he's got a big stride. As the trap beats thump, you know he's got pride. Like I'm on a quest, searching for the homie, you know he's the best. Got my camera ready, heightened senses on blast. Snap a shot of Sasquatch, legend unsurpassed. Eyes in the dark, you can't catch what you can't see. King of the woods, living wild and free. Bigfoot, yeah, he's the talk of the town. Creeping through the trees, never wearing a frown. Legend of the forest, he's got a big stride. As the trap beats thump, you know he's got pride.